I'm going to tell you how to set boundaries without guilt in your relationship. Now, I know I've talked about boundaries a number of times before, but I'm always trying to find new ways and more of the tools that I use with my clients to really give you as many angles and perspectives you need to help you connect the dots and build the muscle and the strength for how to do this for yourself. And I've spoken a lot about how to set your boundaries confidently and so forth, right? But, you know, I don't know if I really narrowed in on how to strip some of the guilt out of it, because really that's the part that gets us stuck so much, right? We feel bad for setting our boundaries. We feel like we're doing something wrong, right? Because, just in life and in society, right? A lot of times, definitely in the US, right? We have a culture of wanting everyone to feel happy and pleasant and want to make sure we coddle everyone's emotions so much. And where, yes, I understand the nature of not wanting to be evil or messed up or a jerk. Like, I don't want to be that either. But it can't get to a point to where you're trying to be so nice that it's at the expense of your well-being, right? Because that's what boundaries are there to protect and preserve. And I think we get to that place because there is such a culture of, be the nice person, that you never get to exercise the muscle of saying the thing that someone else maybe does not want to hear, even if it's what they need to hear, in light of you being healthy and for them to be a better version of themselves. Because people don't instinctively want to be harmful to your boundaries, right? Who wants to be a problem or unhealthy for you, right? And so the less opportunities you give people to experience hearing no, or no, that's not okay, the less they built the muscle for being able to embrace that without being offended, right? So the first way you do this is you have to start to understand your own values, truly the principles and morals that are the framework of your identity, right? And your value as a person, right? The gift that is you. You have to understand that and then reframe boundaries as self-respect, right? See, it's a lot easier to be guilt-free when you need to set a boundary that you're going to stand on, whenever you are very consciously aware of the principles and the morality that you like to live to, that these boundaries help preserve, right, for your mental and emotional well-being, as well as the value that is you, what you bring to a table, what you bring to the table, what you bring to the world, the gift that is you, that is an extension of these principles and morals that you live by, that makes you you, that precious value that you are as a person, right? And recognizing that your boundaries really is a way of self-respecting yourself, right? Taking care of the gifts and the value that you are, right? And showing yourself that, hey, you respect the values that you are, or the value that you are, and the values that you have. So that means knowing your core values, limits, and needs, right? What do you require to be healthy, happy, holistic you, right? And then you make the mindset shift to recognizing that boundaries isn't this like jerk thing to do. And it's one of the biggest forms of self-care that you could do for yourself, and self-love. And then the second piece comes where you recognize boundaries are essential for a healthy relationship. If you have a relationship with no boundaries for you or your partner, and that you don't communicate these things, you're setting yourselves up for disaster. So you start dropping the guilt when you realize these are essential for you and your partner to thrive together. And if anything, you're contributing to the ending of your relationship the more you don't have these boundaries, or to a very toxic experience along the whole ride. Second is getting your reps in of assertive communication and practicing self-compassion. But the way you do this so that you don't feel guilty about it is you have to practice communicating clearly and concisely as to what your boundaries are, but do it using I statements and calmly, to not make your partner a bad guy, not to place blame while you set a boundary, right? Because oftentimes we can say, hey, you did that thing to me, you better not do that again, X, Y, Z. And we start, attacking our partner to set a boundary, right? When that'll make you feel guilty sometimes. You're like, well, maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I shouldn't sit it like that, right? So be true to yourself, be assertive in that boundary that you need to set, but at the same time, speak compassionately, right? To where you're speaking through love, to let your partner know, hey, I know you love me and I love you, and I know you don't want me to be hurt or harmed. So I feel this way when this happens. This isn't good for me. I'm not gonna make you bad for doing it, but this just isn't good for me, right? and don't place any blame. Just let them know what does and does not work for you, right? And then comes the second piece, which is practicing the self-compassion. So whenever you're doing this, as long as you're doing it in the healthy way I just described, to where you're not saying anything messed up to them, nothing disrespectful to your partner, you're just speaking your truth for what you need to be happy, healthy, and whole, then now you practice self-compassion in the sense of when you do still feel those feelings of guilt, because it's going to happen because you're not used to this. This is a new muscle. So when you're feeling that sense of guilt, remind yourself that this is an act of self-respect, right? And not something to be ashamed of, something to be proud of, right? And you reinforce feeling good about that by reflecting on how you want to set the boundary, how you set it, how you did it. Now, if you do it like a jerk, then yeah, it's gonna be hard to feel like you don't feel guilty. But if you are being considerate of your partner as much as yourself, then now you can remind yourself of those acts and feel more confident to keep doing it more. So what you're really doing in that is you're being compassionate to yourself to say, hey, this is self-respect and self-care for myself, and realize that you're protecting your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. You're never wrong for doing that. And that builds confidence in you affirming in that you need to set these boundaries and actually carrying out doing it in a kind way. And as a third tier, seek support and reinforcement, right? Start off with reading books around boundaries, right? Or going to workshops or watching educational content on YouTube or what have you about how to assertively, set boundaries without feeling bad about it, or to do it in a kind way or the healthiest way, right? Educate yourself. And if you need to go to the next tier of it, right, go get help from friends or close family to help build the muscle of practicing setting boundaries, right? And like I always say, if all of those initial steps you can't do on your own and that's not enough, go seek professional help, right? Go get therapy, go get counseling, come get coaching, right? Do what you need to do to learn the skills and the tools to do something that you know is required for yourself and is actually healthy and good for yourself, that's ultimately healthy for your relationship. So you don't wind up being the biggest piece that self-sabotages your relationship from feeling guilty about doing something that your relationship actually needs for both of you, not just for yourself. Let's get it.